All right. Hey, y'all. Hey, it's me, Giovanni, aka the Lux Libra, and we are live again with another episode of Chat with the Aunties. This week we are discussing overcoming overwhelm, the aftermath. So, you guys remember a couple of weeks ago when we did our broadcast, we were discussing overwhelm and different ways to move forward and beyond overwhelm. So, we want to check in with you all and see how those tools worked for you. We want to share how they worked for us, and we want to talk about what it looks like on the other side of overwhelm. Today, I am in the midst of a very long day, so I'm actually still sipping on my breakfast green tea. I had some lemon ginseng green tea for breakfast, and it got set to the side, and it got on the warmer, and it got taken off, and it's back on the warmer. So I'm slowly working through this cup of green tea. So that's what I'm sipping on today. And then, of course, as always, some high quality H2O. Malika, how about you?
Hey y'all, hey. Seems like it's been a minute. Malika Salam here, Purple Hair and Converse, your hope dealer. You know what I'm about, pushing positivity consistently because hope is dope. So I am sipping high quality. I'm in my classroom and I will still be grading papers because grades go in. So I'm in my classroom, high quality H2O. I actually just finished my tea because it was the same, like ongoing tea struggle all day in between classes and reheating and all of that. But wait, can we go back to warmer? Do you have like a warmer, like where you sit your cup and it warms the whole cup? Oh, that's cool. I want one of those. So now I will be on the interwebs looking for tea warmer because I need all the fancy
Absolutely.
tea things.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. It just has a little switch, and you turn it on, and it heats up, and you sit your teacup on there or your coffee cup or whatever, and it keeps it very warm for quite some time.
Yeah, so I'm picturing like how candle warmers are, where it's like a plate and you
Hmm.
sit something on it. So it's like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch around so you can see it because the cord isn't very long. Let's see. Okay, so can you see it?
Yeah, like a
Yeah,
little hot plate. Yep.
yeah, exactly. A mini little
I'm
hot
getting
plate.
one of those.
Yeah, so I've been sitting my tea over there.
Oh yes, I need one. I need one.
Absolutely.
Because fancy tea nook things, I'm all about it. So
Right.
yes, uh, green tea all day. I think I actually started my day with some of my office hooch. That's what
The
everybody at my
kombucha process.
yes. So I am able to make. I now have a quart size jar in my office,
Hmm.
and I put my original 2 cups that I was doing because I was basically doing 2 cups a week. So now I've gone from a pint to a quart. So I put those over into my quart jar, and they both had like 2 or 3 scobies. So now those scobies have attached to a big new SCOBY that is developed um, in the new one. So I think it has like 7 scobies in it now. So I
Mm.
am making liquid gold in my home office right
I
now.
see. I see. And sounds like you're getting really good at it.
Yeah, I love it. And again, I'm making June, so I'm using raw honey instead of sugar, and I
Hmm.
love it. And like everybody was really skeptical at first because kombucha in your office,
Fermented food.
right?
First of
They
all,
were like,
fermented food, period.
"You're fermenting stuff in the office. Like this isn't even in the kitchen. We don't know if this is sanitary. This is one of your weird Frankenstein science projects. We don't know how we feel about it." But then they taste it and they're like, "Oh, this is really good." I'm like, "I know. Like I know what I'm doing. I've got this now." So I did start off my day with that, and since then it's been just more green tea and tangerine positive energy tea by Yogi
Mm.
Teas. That's been my go-to. One because it's not highly caffeinated and it's got a little bit of sweetness and warmth to it, and we're in weird fall weather here in Florida, hurricane season and storms, and everybody's acting crazy because of all of the different pressure and all of the stuff that comes along with
Hmm.
the hurricane. So we got hurricane-like behavior. So I just needed something to balance that out. So that's where I am.
I love it. I love it. And I'm always here for the new food experiments. Like, that's so exciting to me. So, yay. Yeah. Um, thinking about this overwhelm, overcoming overwhelm. I was actually, when we started the chat today, I had music playing because that's part of my process. And, if you are not, this is just to our audience, this is not a promo or a paid promo or anything, but if you are not part of like the sound wellness community on YouTube, like, you are really missing out, because YouTube has a real treasure trove of audio for wellness. They've got a ton of nature sound videos, a ton of, rain videos. They've got angelic sounds, which are the high pitched harp sounds and crystal bells and those kinds of things. They've got a huge collection of binaural beats. Um, and then they have a huge collection of just sounds that are created for wellness at different levels of sound waves. So there's a huge collection on YouTube, and so one of my favorite channels is Meditative Mind. But yeah, I was literally listening to a recording by another group, another channel, Power Thoughts Meditation Club, and they literally have a recording called Letting Go of Fear, Overthinking, and Worry. And so that is, part of my overcoming overwhelm process is to literally use every sensory aspect to heal and to recover and to calm myself, and to restore myself. So that recording was part of today's Overcoming Overwhelm, because Wednesdays are a very intensive day for me. So staying calm, staying clear, staying focused is huge for me. And music is one of the ways that I do that, like using sounds that are specifically intended, because we all have, popular music and things like that that can be calming to us. But music that is specifically intended to impact certain parts of the brain and certain parts of your own body chemistry has been a huge part for me for dialing down from overwhelm. So, what about you, Malika?
So it's absolutely the same for me. I definitely use a lot of sound therapy and meditation. So also not a paid promo. I love I love YouTube, and I have a list on YouTube. Like I have a playlist that I've been adding stuff to for various things. So sometimes it's chakra healing. Sometimes there's something that I can feel off balance in a particular chakra, and I will use sound therapy for that. Um, Sometimes I just need to meditate, and it may be singing bowls, um it may be chanting. It all depends on what I want. But thank you, internet, because there is a wealth of information out here. um but my favorite app is Insight Timer. Like that is still my number one go to. There are there are meditations that I listen to pretty much every day, like meditations to get my day started. I have two favorite ones. One is like 7 daily affirmations to help you get your day started. And the other one is a daily meditation that really focuses on breathing, and I'm so grateful for it and for that practice. When I did a yin class about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was trying to get myself balanced. I realized that my breathing was off. I was struggling. Yin is not the same type of difficult as a flow class. Yin is really about holding the poses and letting gravity and your body do the work, taking you, keeping you in those poses. It's not like flow where it's like finding your edge and, getting in there. So you pose anywhere from 30 seconds to 5 minutes. So we're in this class and I realized that I'm struggling with some movements because my breath was out of sync. And literally my brain clicked into this meditation that I do in the morning that goes inhale, belly rise, exhale, belly fall. And whenever I find myself getting out of sync with my breath, like if I'm out of breath, I get winded, I'm talking too fast, I'm moving too fast, I'm feeling that overwhelm, that anxiety, that is now like embedded in my brain. Like my brain just clicks into inhale, belly rise, exhale, belly fall. And it helps me to get back grounded, get back centered, be present. So I would definitely say like sound therapy, meditation apps have all been coming through for me, especially when I've been feeling overwhelmed. Like I have to sometimes shut out all of the outside noise. So for the last month almost, I have not been on social media consistently. I still don't think I've posted anything to Instagram. Like with testing and everything that's been going on the teacher front, I just needed to feel less overwhelmed. I needed to have some calmness in my life. So the first thing that I did was get rid of the excess noise and the distractions. And then I found that I had a lot of time where I could focus. So that helped me to focus. And then when I was still having any issues around anxiety or overwhelm, I just went to my sound therapy, into my meditation, into my breathing. So that is a huge, huge tool that I rely on.
So of course I'm making notes of all this for for later on, so that when we do our graphics, we can share that. Um, so sound therapy, meditation, and you said you use the Insight meditation app.
Yeah,
Um,
Insight Timer.
Timer, yes. Okay, yeah, I love that. Um, and another like super, super, super old school tool that I've been using is, and you're gonna laugh, but it's going outside. Like when you're
Oh
a
no.
kid, like you can never get enough of going outside. Like every kid is
Right.
like, "Can I go outside? Can I go outside? Can I?" Nonstop. That's what we get from kids. And so I've been going outside. Like I've been very intentional about going outside for the last year, um, for two reasons. The first reason was specifically for meditation purposes, so that I could have the peace and quiet of a natural environment to meditate. I could put my feet in the grass. I could listen and hear the birds, the crickets, all those things. And I'm, very fortunate to live in an area that is relatively quiet so that I can hear the sounds of nature. But even before that, I would go to the park. There were some days I would just go to the park, park my car, and eat lunch in my car and just have the windows down for fresh air and to hear the sounds of nature. So I have upgraded from just going to the park and sitting in the car, upgraded from sitting in the backyard with my feet in the grass to meditate, all the way up to taking my blanket outside, putting it in the grass, and laying down on the earth. It is incredibly grounding, incredibly soothing, incredibly comfortable. Um, I'm on grass in the south, so it is very firm. Malika, you got access to sand and water to lay in, so I'm sure your earth experience was a little bit different. But that's been a major tool for me with both getting out of overwhelm and calming myself and reconnecting and getting grounded. And whether it's day or night, when you look up into the sky, you can get a lot of perspective about just how big things are on the ground, and on the earth. So I've spent time just laying on my back, looking up at the sky. I've spent time laying on my stomach, reading, breathing, just, you know, laying there quietly. And then also just sitting there, like putting my root on the ground. And all of those have been just amazing for helping me calm down and giving me calmness that I can carry with me for the rest of the afternoon.
Right. So the going outside thing, I can relate to that. When I was younger, I loved going outside. And then I don't know, maybe I guess in my 20s or 30s, and probably the overwhelm of being outside and being amongst people. And then now working with little people, I don't necessarily enjoy being out of doors. I don't enjoy being out of my comfort, like my comfort zone and my comfortable environments. Even when we go on vacations, one of the things that I have difficulty with now is the further that I am away from my house and the longer that I am gone, the less comfortable I feel. I enjoy spending time with other people. I enjoy seeing other things, but my enjoyment of that is directly proportionate to how long I'm gone, how many people are going to be there. Like, I'm definitely one of those folks who's like, if you invite me somewhere, I'm probably going to ask, like, who's going to be there? Like,
Well,
that's going to be my first question. And then like after that, then it's like a shorter like list of like, oh, well, what are we eating? What can I bring? But like, if you don't get those questions, I'm probably not coming because you told me too many people were going to be there. Like, I'm not going to be able to do it. That's my reality. Like, and there are exceptions, right? Like, I love live music. I love going to music festivals. Um, and I am very clear that there are some environments that I don't want to go and participate in. Like, oh, that's a festival that's going to have way too many people, way too many like free radicals. Like, Coachella looks dope, and I'm so happy for the internet that I can see video, because at this point in my life, I'm probably never going to Coachella. Like, it seems like a mecca for, like, oh, eccentric aunties. I'm not that auntie. Like, no, I don't. But I'm realistic about that. So I don't necessarily enjoy being out of doors. I do enjoy being here. Like, I do enjoy having the beach. I miss that because I grew up with the beach and I spent so much time at the beach. And I really didn't understand how much I missed it and how much I thrive in that environment until I moved to Florida. So yes, I love being in the sand. Like, some people don't like the sand. They don't like the way it feels. It bothers them. I am not one of those people. I am one of those people that does not prefer, like, I will lay in the grass on blankets in my blanket fort where I feel some level of comfort. I don't like the grass. I don't like wet grass on my feet. I like none of those things. Like, I don't want the dew in the morning on the grass feeling. That is not something that sounds good to me. That doesn't sound like something I want to participate in. So, we all have to find what works for us, like what our environments are. And I used to think that it had to be this way. Like, I had to go outside in order to connect. I definitely feel better when I spend some time outside. Obviously, there are physiological reasons for that, right? We get our vitamin D. We need to be connected to the sun. I think it's important that we find the ways that work for us. Like, some people don't go to the beach here. I used to think that was crazy. Like, how can you live this close to the beach and not take advantage of it? One of the things that does well for me, one of the things that is healing for me, is that on my worst day, I am 5, 10, 15 minutes away from any beach. And all of Florida is like that. Like, anywhere you live, even if you live like in the panhandle or in the middle of Florida, every beach in Florida is 60 minutes away from somewhere. Little known Florida facts. So, I mean, for me to be able to go an hour, Good evening, is that middle school? Sorry, still at school.
Yeah, so while she's doing that announcement, I'm just going to say how envious I am because, I love The beach. I love the water. That is where I feel at home. That is where I feel all my troubles drift away. That is where I feel connected. So, I'm like you, who's, like, how can you live in Florida and not go to the beach? That's the question that I have, for the locals that don't go.
Yeah, that is still amazing to me. And my family who lives here is like, oh, I know you guys are excited about the beach because like your kids didn't grow up with the beach. You haven't had the beach in a long time. We understand your excitement, but like it's here. We don't. And I realize it's been that in every area that I've lived in. Like for here, it's the beach, right? That's the big draw. People don't go to the beach because it's here and they take that for granted. It was the same way in California. Everybody did not go to the beach. People in San Diego, in particular, love going to the beach. People in LA, not so much. It's a little bit different, navigating those beaches than it is navigating beaches in San Diego County. When I lived in DC, my cousin lived around the corner from the Frederick Douglass house. And so living in DC, I was like, oh my gosh, here's this major history. You live right around the corner. Like, I know there's all of the big stuff, right? There's the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Monument and the White House and all of those things, which are great. And I wanted to see those, but there's so much other history there. And I would just be like, how come you guys? And they're like, we grew up here. This is, it's our neighborhood. We pass the house every day going to school. And I'm like, but it's the Frederick Douglass house. So there is some degree, I think, of people taking for granted the areas that they live in and not really tapping into the resources. It was the same thing when I lived in Memphis. People would say, oh, there's nothing to do in Memphis. I could literally find something to do in Memphis every single day. And I'm like, you're just taking for granted the fact that you live here. Everything doesn't have to be a trip to Graceland. The Mississippi River and all of the land that it covers and all of the tributaries, Wolf River, all of those places are all different experiences, and they're different experiences at different times. It's different going to the river after it's rained and the levels have risen. It's different going during the summer when the lightning bugs are out. Like all of those experiences are different. I think that sometimes we just don't take the time to pay attention to what's around us and figure out what works for us.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think that's part of becoming overwhelmed is you're not paying attention to the things that could be nurturing or nourishing, or you go so long without paying attention to them that suddenly you look up and you're like overwhelmed and you need all the things to fix it, because you haven't been taking those little steps, regularly throughout the process to
Right.
get to, what you need or to take care of yourself in that way. And that's definitely, one of the things that I appreciate about Memphis. Like, yeah, we're not near an ocean, but we are near water. And even that is important. I cannot even count the number of times that the same thing I do at the park, just go there and park and look, or go there and park and listen. That was a definitely a part of my adulthood, having the freedom to go down to the river. And, especially when my kids were little, like we would, like, literally an outing for us. We had, I'm like you, I can find something to do every day in Memphis. So when my kids were little, we had a $2 outing, and our $2 outing was to go down to the river and then to ride the riverfront trolley through downtown
Mhm.
because it went along, that side facing the river, and like that was great. Like they were little, they would be all excited about seeing the river and then seeing all of downtown and all of those kinds of things. And it was $2 because it was literally 50 cents each, for us to ride the trolley and take that loop. And even that small level of exposure is valuable enough to give, energy, to give grounding, to give what you need, to just relax, to just
Yeah.
be, right? To just be. So, being outside, and then especially being outside and having access to water,
Yeah.
is a huge part of that coming out of overwhelm.
Yeah.
So,
It's there's I wanted to say there's something important in what you said about, the $2 outing. So I was thinking about all of the things that I did in Memphis that were free, right? So free zoo day, And of course, you have to get the timing right on that because
From
freeze due
2
day
p.m.
can
after 2
be
p.m.
right, but it can be a bit overwhelming if there's a lot of folks there. During the
Hmm.
summer, it was super great. Like my children love going during the summer because they could get in the water fountain. And so that was a huge deal during the summer. Like, can we go so we can get in the water fountain? But free, running through the water fountains in Court Square. That's a thing. They
Yes.
enjoyed doing that. I remember when my first mother transitioned, when Aunt Fanny left, I just didn't want to get out of the house. I was really like depressed. And the kids were like, take us out of the house. And that was the thing that really made me, get up and start thinking about and processing it. And they just wanted to go downtown and hang out. So like we went downtown, we did Mud Island, and I think it was a discount, like whatever, it was like one of those days where it was half price or something, because
Hmm.
some Mud Island has that. And then we just hung out in Court Square for the longest. They just ran through the water fountains free. Um, Pink Palace Museum every summer. You can
Hmm.
get free passes. My children have had free passes for as long as I can remember. And I would sign up other folks' children who I would then take with me. We would
Hmm.
ride the bus. We would ride our bikes. Like we lived in Midtown majority of the time. But I just think about all of the things that are out there, all of the things that I was familiar with. And I'm still finding my way in Florida and finding some of those things. The beach is free. That's always another great thing, right? It's free. Like I can literally just pack a snack and a book and go and be there for hours.
Hmm.
So, taking advantage of those things, not feeling like self-care has to be something elaborate. Like we had to have a family conversation about going to the beach, because there were some times that going to the beach was overwhelming, because it was like, do we have the chairs? Do we have the umbrella? And I'm like, when did we get this fancy with chairs and umbrellas? Do you have a towel and something to drink and something to eat? That's really all you need, like, to have a day at the beach.
Hmm.
And we would turn it into this whole thing. And it was like, oh, we got to stop to the store. We got to get this. We got to get that. It's like, listen, grab some snacks. We have snacks in the house. We are a snacking family. Grab some snacks in the house because we're not stopping. If we
Hmm.
stop for anything, it'll be to get a Polar Pop. And then we're headed to the beach. So grab your 79 cents, whatever snacks you can rustle up, and something to lay your body on and dry out. Like, that's it. It doesn't have to be elaborate. And this goes back to, again, what our ideas are about self-care and what we've been taught about self-care. Because self-care sometimes, because of our programming, can become part of the overwhelm. I'm feeling overwhelmed and I need to do something for myself, but I don't feel like I have the resources. And now I'm feeling more overwhelmed because I can't do the thing I need to do to take care of myself.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about that the other day because, like, I have become very intentional about preparing myself for the week, which means Self Care Sunday is like a real day. Like, it's a full day. Like, it's a day of things that I need to do in some way to prepare myself for the week, whether that's getting all my clothes prepped for the week, hair, nails, facial maintenance, all of those kinds of things, making sure we've got a meal plan for the week, like all of the, and then of course, just the regular planner plan, for my own time planning for the week. So I was like, wow, this is a lot. But I also know that I function better when I have it done, and I also know that even if I don't get it all done, that I'll still be okay. There are
Mhm.
times that like my preference is to do all of the care on Sunday, but if on Monday I have to do my nails, and Tuesday I have to do a facial, and Wednesday I have to do my hair, and Thursday I have to do a pedicure, and Friday, I have to do laundry or whatever, I'm okay. Like, I know that even if it doesn't get done the ideal way, I still have other options of and
Right.
ways of getting it done. And I think that's important because I think a lot of times we have the overwhelm because we're married to a schedule. We're married
Oh,
to the way that we want to do it and the way that we said we want to do it, which is great. We are all for intentions. We're all for being on purpose. We're all for that. But a lot of times life happens and we can't operate the way we ideally want to operate, but just knowing that we have other ways to operate can be a relief in and of itself. It lets us know, like, hey,
Right.
it's okay. You got options. You're okay.
Right. So that definitely, so Sam is here with me. And when you said that, she was like, yes, you say that. So, with having a new regular schedule where I'm coming in, like I'm doing drop offs in the morning and then I'm coming into work and I have set hours, I always say that my plan is to know what I have to do so I know how much time I have to do the other stuff that I want to do. So when I know what needs to be done, when I know that I have to be at work between from 8:30 to 4:15, that time is blocked off. I know what I'm doing during that time, and I know during the day, like, I have a list of things I want to get accomplished. I want to get my boards done, I want to get my posters done, all of those things. But outside of that, then it's like, okay, well, what other things do I need to do? I need to study, I need to wash clothes, I need to have a menu, I need to do my hair, my nails, like all of those things, right? And they may not all happen at the same time. But as long as I have a plan for that, I am good. I did not know, like, I did know. I forgot how important it is to lay your school clothes out. Our parents taught us these fundamental things when we were younger. And it was just like, but why? Why do I have to lay my school clothes out? It's not that deep. It is that deep.
It is
Lay your
so
school
that deep.
clothes out
You better
and save
iron
yourself
5
some
shirts and
time.
5 pants on Sunday. You better iron five
Listen,
shirts and 5 pants on Sundays and have something prepared. Even if you don't want to wear those 5 outfits, you have them ironed and ready. And you can change your mind
right.
on
This
Thursday. You can
wasn't my
change your
outfit for
mind about
today.
Wednesday. But you better have 5 shirts and 5 pants ironed so you can be prepared and you have no excuses of making your mama late or your daddy or getting left or
Or
missing the
getting
bus.
left. Because I will leave somebody in a minute. Let me tell you, I am the queen of, I'm leaving out here in 5 minutes. And if you're not ready, you will call somebody, find the best way, walk, get there how you can. I am no longer responsible after those 5 minutes because I'm not going to be late fooling around with you. So,
Hmm.
yes, we lay our clothes out. In our house, we lay our clothes out. And
Hmm.
and one week my clothes, like, we were thrown off and my clothes weren't laid out. And in the morning, I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Like, how am I going to make it through this day? Am I even an adult and I haven't laid
No,
clothes out? I don't know
no,
what to do. Did I wash?
you're
Do
not.
I have clean underwear? Like, I was so
Neglected
thrown
adult
off.
responsibilities. And now look.
Yes. So yes, laying your clothes out, taking that time to prepare and to know. And then if something changes, we are able to roll with that change, right? We are able to make the shift because we had a plan. But like not having a plan and just out here like figuring it out as you go along, oh my gosh, at this point that definitely contributes to the overwhelm. And I am working through my procrastination issue. I have had to have that discussion, especially because I see it coming up with Chocolate Girl Wonder. She has a lot of stuff on her plate. If I am the exalted empress, she is the heir apparent. And so I'm like, let me teach you some things that will make this easier for you because clearly this is what you are prone to. Clearly, this is the example that has been set for you. So let me make sure that you have the tools to navigate this as successfully as possible. If you are going to be, she's a performer. So if you're going to be performing and you're on the dance team and you're doing these different plays and you're being a social activist, you have to balance your calendar out. You have to make sure that you are packing your lunch at night because if you are going, from one practice to another practice, you need to make sure you have enough snacks to sustain you.
Yes,
You can't just be
ma'am.
skipping meals. Your
Yes,
body is going to
ma'am.
require nutrition.
Hmm.
So if you leave the house at 6:30 and you don't come back till 8 o'clock, you need to have plenty of snacks packed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was totally me in grad school. Like people knew, like Giovanni got some snacks. Like they knew,
Right.
they knew that I was gonna have, orange slices and at least a can. I was gonna have some kind of fruit and a canister of nuts of trail mix in my bag. Like they knew, like, oh, Giovanni got some snacks. Like if you need some snacks, go ask Giovanni. She got snacks.
Right.
And even when the boys were little, like I remember. Like once people knew, they would ask. But like when the boys were little, I literally had a little box in my trunk, and it had canned fruit cups, it had granola bars, it had graham crackers, um, and some other kind of non-perishable, that could last in the heat, or whatever. But people knew, like, oh, she got snacks in the trunk. She got snacks in the trunk. So
Yeah.
yeah, like having that and even preparing that, right? Like cutting up your oranges at the beginning of the week so you can have orange slices for the week, or making sure you got granola bars that you can just grab and put in your purse, or even right now, like I have some super healthy spirulina almond something 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 bar in my bag. I'm probably not going to eat it because it's a super healthy spirulina almond something something. Um, but if I get hungry, if I need food, I have an almond spirulina super healthy something something that I can eat if I get that hungry. Because it's part of, being prepared, just being prepared to take care of yourself. And even like I look at that, like you said, you're a snacking family. Like I look at that even with regular grocery shopping. Like we have our meals planned out, but we also know that anything can happen. I can go to a meeting at 6 o'clock that's supposed to be 30 minutes, but it doesn't end until 8 o'clock. And now I got to make dinner. Well, I need something super quick that I can cook because that dinner that I had planned that would take a whole hour and 15 minutes to cook, I don't have that time now. But I
Yeah.
know, okay, I could throw some chicken breasts on the grill. We can cut up some vegetables and have salad. We got dinner. We're good. It doesn't take an hour like the Alfredo dish and the salad and the bread and all the stuff that I was going to make. I can pare this meal down and still get
Yeah.
through it quickly. So yeah,
Again, being able to make adjustments.
yes, yes.
So, yeah, with us, it's everybody has different things going on, and we don't know. Last night, I was at a fan club meeting, which is the booster club for Chocolate School and or for her program, and it was supposed to be a short meeting. They're like, "We're not going to keep you 2 hours," but guess what? We were in there
They
two
kept
hours
me two
because we
hours.
had a back and front page agenda. So yeah, it took us 2 full hours. Fortunately, when I got home, Sunshine had already prepared the food. He was like, "Got you. It's Taco
Oh, good.
Tuesday. Bet." Tofu is on the stove. Everything is cut up, but that's how we roll. Like, okay, I have a late night. So after this, I'm still grading papers. Sam is here with me grading papers. So, he knows he's there. He didn't have to work today. Go ahead and get started with the meal. Like that's just like everybody knows our social contract for home is, we cover each other. When they had to work doubles last week and I was coming, straight in from work, I made dinner last week because they were at work and I was the
Hmm.
one who had more time. So yeah, being able and having those contracts, right? Having those conversations. I know you guys have something that you do in your family where everybody knows exactly what their responsibility is when it comes to meal prep and who's gonna, prep and who's gonna clean up and who's doing the cooking. And I mean, that is part of our self-care as well. When we talk about our wellness, right? Being, in those 7 areas, it's not just the things that we do personally, but it's the things that we do even within our family that facilitate how our day moves and how our day functions. So we don't feel those high levels of overwhelm. I
Hmm.
am often amazed at what I see people do, what I see people accomplish. I'm like, oh, wow. So you're like a full time teacher, and then you have a part time gig, and then you go home and do laundry and make lunches. Like you are a superwoman. And then, oh, wait. Let's not forget, you also have a side hustle that requires you to be on social media. So you're keeping up your social media accounts on a regular basis in order to be actually generating income. Like that takes a lot of energy.
Hmm.
And I realized, like, we even have conversations now, like, everybody has an understanding in my house about what spoons are. And like,
Hmm.
I left the house this morning and I had 10 spoons. I am probably at about 6 spoons now. But sometimes I leave the house and I don't have all 10 of my spoons. I have
Right.
7 spoons. And by
I
the
thought
time
you were
school is
gonna
over,
say
I am
four.
-3.
I thought you were gonna say four spoons.
So today was a good one, but some days I leave here and I'm minus 3 spoons and I'm like, I don't have the spoons to cook. I don't have the spoons to clean. I don't have the spoons to hold space for anybody. And I can say that, very honestly. And I live in a family where we are able to communicate those things. So it's not, I don't want to do it. It's what I need to do right now to care for myself, to be available to give anybody anything, is to be honest about what I'm capable of doing. And if I am not capable of doing something, not pushing myself, not feeling that obligation that I have to show up because I'm mom or because I'm wife or because I'm, big sister, little sister, daughter, whoever, I can say realistically, I don't have the capacity to do that right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be selling myself short and it would be selling you short, because if I haven't taken care of me, I don't have anything else to give you. If
Mm-hmm.
I'm on empty, I have nothing else to give you. I got to be full and then I can give you from my overflow.
That makes me think about like checking in with ourselves and recognizing where we are. Because that person you just described who's making lunches and side hustling and working full time and doing all those things. I think their side hustle was driving Uber because I'm pretty sure they were my Uber driver the other day. But what we don't see is what that looks like on the inside.
Right.
We don't see for many people that doing all of that is also internally creating a lot of fear and a lot of panic and a lot of discomfort internally. We don't see that, even though we may see the flashy outside. If you may be up until 11:45 making those lunches, but you got to be at work at 7 o'clock in the morning because you are the teacher, which means you're not going to be in the bed until midnight or later, which means you're not really getting enough rest to go and show up the next day and be at your best. It means, oftentimes that there are areas being neglected in your own self care because you're doing all this stuff for other people without the necessary support and without the resources that you need. So I think another important aspect of recognizing, of dialing back overwhelm is just recognizing where we are. Like, where are we at this moment? Checking in with ourselves, taking the time to take a deep breath, taking the time to be realistic about what we can do. Like you said, how many spoons do I have available for this? And, a lot of times that facade um, turns out with a great deal of frustration on the outside. I'm sorry, on the inside, that internal turmoil, and then other areas suffer. I really just, I had to just pray because this woman was clearly very frazzled. She was driving Uber to, pay our local utility company, which is notorious for its incredibly high rates. She was also facing a medical crisis that she was trying to answer calls from the doctor. And I'm like, you're driving, you can't answer the call. You just have to call them back later. Like, you're going to have to accept that. And so it was like a 10-minute back and forth between her and the doctor's office because nobody was communicating clearly. And it was just literally nonstop crises for the entirety of the 27 minutes that it took for me to get from my destination, from my home to my destination. And I was just like, this is not the person I saw when I walked outside to get in this beautiful vehicle that was picking me up.
Right.
I saw this beautiful, well coiffed, put together, well made up person in this beautiful vehicle. And literally, I got inside and saw every single piece of it fall apart. And in 27 minutes, like in 27 minutes, I was not even with this person all day or for 8 hours. But In that 27 minutes, I witnessed her fielding a call from a family member who'd had an accident. I witnessed her realizing she had not paid the auto insurance on that vehicle they were having the accident in. I witnessed, her having this conversation about a medical crisis. I witnessed her having a conversation about, needing to pay this utility bill. Just all of these things where the entire outside was just dismembered by me spending 27 minutes inside with her. And I think we have to be honest with ourselves.
So that's the other part, right? So this myth that we were fed about being superwoman. Um, yes, you can have it all. What does it all look like for you?
Hmm.
Maybe your it all is not the same as my it all. Like we had that conversation this summer when I was doing security, and it's like, yeah, I went in and I was like, this is a part-time job. This is an adventure. Let's see what happens. I knew within a week, like actually probably the first couple of days, I was like pointing out things. And so my love said, you're gonna wind up being a supervisor. I was like, hey, I didn't come here for all of that. Like I came here to just watch the people. But after a week, I was a supervisor. And people were asking me, like, did I want to do more? And I was like, no, I am fine right where I am. I have found my all here. I am a gate supervisor. That works for me. That's just enough responsibility without me having to take this job home, unlike teaching. So being an educator is what I do. Anywhere that I go, that is who I am. I realize that that is who I have been since I was a very little girl. I did not want to play house. I wanted to play school. I wanted to bring out all my crayons and my pencils and my markers and my books and teach the other children. This is what I've been doing my whole life. So me being in a school environment is not surprising. Trauma took me out of the environment that I was in before, and now I'm relearning this environment and having a different experience because I have love and I have support and I have those things that were missing before, especially with my administration. Like I have people who have my back, which makes this a completely different experience for me. It is not that it's not stressful. It's not that um, everything is perfect. There are things about it that are stressful. You and I have had conversations where I'm like, yes, no, I just need to like debrief this and get some perspective because right now I'm feeling overwhelmed. Right now I'm not feeling like, oh, yay, I'm an educator. Right now I'm feeling like, what the hell did I get myself into? And there will be those moments. And I acknowledge that in the beginning. Like, hey, y'all, when I'm having one of those days, remind me of all the wonderful things I said and all the posts that I shared and everything that was gravy about it in the beginning, because along the way, I may not remember that because I'm in my emotions or my feelings or wherever I'm at with my experience. And I say all of that to say, I enjoy being an educator. I enjoy being in the classroom. This is one of the places that I come alive. And so for me, that is that is a huge part of who I am. Does that mean that there are not other things I want to do? There are definitely other things that I want to do. And still all of those things somehow tie back into being an educator. That is my it all. That is me having it all. That I get to be an educator, that I get to be an advocate, that I get to be a healer, that all of these other things that I do are tying back into this. So does that mean that I am going to one day be Dr. Malika Salam? Maybe, but this is not a goal that I'm reaching for now. This is not a, oh well, I need to now go and get my master's in education and my doctorate in education, and I like being a classroom teacher. And I'm okay with that. That's enough. I don't right now have any desire to like be an assistant principal and then a principal. Like my goal eventually is to open up a learning center. And I don't know that that is going to require me getting all of these other things. That doesn't look like a part of my plan. And I'm okay with that. There was a time that for me, if I, oh, okay, I'm going to be an educator, well, then I need to be an educator for this amount of time. And I need to get these degrees in order for me to be, this type of educator and be seen this way. And then I need to be an assistant principal. And then I need to have my own school by the time I'm XYZ age, because that's how my brain functions. I have to be doing this.
And that's what we're
I just have
taught.
to be,
That's also what we're taught.
yeah,
We're taught that we
yeah,
have to operate in a specific way. So
yeah,
not just you, it's the
yeah,
environment. I remember very recently having that conversation with a friend of mine about the same thing, the same principle that it, you know, growing up, it wasn't okay to be average. It wasn't okay to be entry level. It wasn't
mhm,
okay to be a beginner, right?
yeah,
That you, even if you were a beginner, you had to immediately be chugging along to get as far as
yeah.
possible, but you couldn't just get your foot in the door and stop there. You had to blaze this trail. You had to go all the way and max it out.
So let me just piggyback on that slightly. Um, because there's a word that you used in there and it's just, right? It wasn't okay to be just a teacher. Like a teacher wasn't enough. And part of that is, what we're taught and what we pick up along the way. But that word right there, just, it always diminishes whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think, like, I know I will speak specifically to my experience as a Black woman. We were definitely, it definitely wasn't okay to be at the baseline. It wasn't
Yeah,
okay to be, like I said, entry level or a beginner. It was definitely most important that you literally blaze a trail, that you
right,
get in, you go as far as possible, as fast as possible, and in that process, you're opening the doors for others, but you're also, you know, proving to a certain extent that you are not mediocre, that you do
right,
not come from mediocre people. Because the other part of that was that you were not just representing yourself, you were also representing your people, your community, your family, everything comprehensive around whatever your achievement was and whatever space you were going into, which
right,
is great when we want to bring our ancestors with us to knock down some doors, but it's also a very heavy mantle to wear.
right. So two quick things. One, this idea that we have to blaze the trail and open up the door for people behind us. So again, we're saddled with all of this responsibility. So I am fortunate that I did get some positive messaging around just being the best me that I could be. And I didn't always understand that. Sometimes I thought being the best meant that I had to be better than everybody else. And so then I would be overwhelmed because I would be trying to be better than everybody. And I would have to remember, what my grandfather would say, like, be the best at what you're doing. So there was a time when being a teacher wasn't just being a teacher, it was a noble profession.
Right. It's
People really
very.
celebrated it. It was a big deal to be a teacher or a nurse. Some of these things that people are now saying you're just a whatever. So I'm fortunate that I did get those messages, because my grandfather would say, like, even if you're a maid, like, be the best maid that you can be, like, if that's your choice. But I will also say that at the same time, there was a lot of outside messaging that was like, but it's not good enough to just be a maid. Like, you have to be the head of the maids. You have to then take
You
your
have to own a
fortune that you've
cleaning
made as the head
service.
of the maids, right? And then own the cleaning service and then buy the building that you're cleaning, right? So all of this messaging comes from different places. And sometimes we have to take that back. One of the reasons why I like to use I statements and focus on, my personal work, is because I think it's necessary for us to all do that, for us to come back to ourselves. We're given so much responsibility for other people. If you do the work, if you are being great, you will open doors, but that is not your responsibility. Your job is not to do for you and everybody else. Else is something that you can do when you have the overflow. It is hard to get to the overflow when you are constantly hemorrhaging your resources, when you are constantly
Mm-hmm.
handing them out. You just never get to that point. Forget about all the cracks and fissures that come along with that you have to fill in for yourself so that you're not leaking things. We're constantly just handing it out. So part of it is realizing that we're not responsible for blazing the trail. If you are a trailblazer, if that is your purpose, when you are in alignment with your purpose, that will happen as a natural result of the work that you're doing. Don't put it on yourself that you have to be the one, which also ties into this responsibility that we've been given for our families and our legacies. And, don't embarrass the family. Don't be the one who didn't do this, or you're the first one to do that. So you have to, make a point and prove it. You can give yourself permission to not take all of that on. You have to make the choices that are best for you and for your well being first and foremost. And that is where I have come to. I am very happy with the decisions that I am making for myself. And the more that I do that, the more that I am clear on my purpose and not what other people told me I should be, or what their expectations are, or the pedestals that they put me on, the more things start to align with me and the easier it becomes to live my life the way that I want it, by design, on purpose. That, again, not to say that that makes things easy, but it makes things easier because I am in alignment and I am clear on that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I love it. I love it. I think that's a great note to end on, and very valuable information. So, I am very happy, as always, to have joined you for this episode of Chat with the Aunties. Enjoying our tea, enjoying our chat, and talking about healing and dialing down overwhelm. And it sounds like we made it through.
Yeah,
Sounds like we made
yeah.
it through the overwhelm. Sounds like we made it through. So you want to take us out?
Sure. So thank you for everybody who joined, for all of the people who will be watching this broadcast later. As always, I'm super grateful to my wife, Friendster, for sharing space and for holding space for us to have these healing conversations, for us to provide space for other women, especially women of color, to nurture themselves and nourish themselves and heal themselves, to come to a place that is sacred and safe for them. So we do this every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. You can find us all over the interwebs at Make You Media. We are on Instagram at Make You Media. That is MAQHUMEDIA. You can also find us, obviously, if you found us on YouTube, you know what our handle is on YouTube. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that little bell so that you get the notifications. So just in case you're running around and maybe it's not in your planner, life happened, you can go ahead and get a notification that we're going to be on, and you can bookmark it so you can check it out later. Um, I am on Instagram and all over the interwebs as Purple Hair and Converse. You can find Geo on Instagram and all over the interwebs as the Lux Libra. And did I miss anything?
I think that's it, honey. I think you did a great job, and that is it. And we can say mwah and bye, y'all. Bye.
Bye, y'all. Bye.
Peace.